You're locked into Live and Local on 1480 WHBC, talking with Brynn Goedel, the Tusky Valley High School student, one of many that was involved in the bus accident. Of course, 6 lives were lost in that accident. And Brynn, one of the student survivors, just getting home from the hospital about a week and a half ago. And Brynn, when we took a time out, I was asking about what was it like for you or maybe one of the nurses, I don't know who did it, who had to call your parents and say, hey, there's been an accident, Brynn's on the way to the hospital.
So I was on the side of the road whenever Josh had pulled me out, and one of my friends in band came up to me and asked if I needed to call anyone. I was like, yes, please. And I did not want to move because I was scared that I had injuries that I just couldn't feel. So he dialed the phone number of my mom, and I told him what her phone number was, as I was alert and I could talk. And I called her, and I stayed calm because I didn't want her to worry. And I said that we got into an accident, and I'm not sure how bad it is, but I'll be okay. And I heard someone getting CPR, and I was like, I think it's bad, but I'm not really sure. And the ambulance is coming, and I'm going to go to the hospital, and that's all I had said. And then I think she contacted some other people.
Well, Brynn, certainly we appreciate your time. Most importantly, we are glad you are home. We're glad you're on the road to recovery. So thank you so much. And if you would, pass the phone to your mom. We're going to talk to her for a couple of minutes, if that's okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to let you know that I'm so thankful for everything, and I'm so glad to be home.
Thank you. And we're going to be joined now by Brynn's mom, Danielle Goedel. And Danielle, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, I guess tell us a little bit about what, frankly, is probably every parent's worst nightmare, to get that type of a phone call, and you're worried about Brynn. Initially, you don't know what's going on. What was all going through your brain?
I mean, I was at work. I mean, I just took care of my dad for almost 10 days before that. He had a spontaneous hemorrhagic stroke, and I was at Cleveland Clinic, and I left him that morning, that Tuesday morning, the 14th, thinking, and I told him, I'll be back, Dad. I'll be back this afternoon. And then I had my phone on me, which normally I don't have my phone on me, but I did because my dad, and if they need to get a hold of me, and my phone was ringing. I'm like, okay, I better answer it. And it was a number that I didn't know, and so Brynn's beside me, and I heard her, and I mean, she's completely correct. I mean, I get the phone call, Mom, we got in a little accident. I'm going to be okay. The ambulance is coming. I can't feel my legs. Somebody's getting CPR. But none of it, made sense because she's so calm and everything else. And so I'm like, okay, love you. And then I'm just like, where do I go from here? What's happening?
And when did you have more of a grasp, that you were going to have to go to Columbus to see her? How long did all that, from a time perspective, Danielle, take place before you said, I've got to get moving down 77 to 70 or whatever direction you went to get to see Brynn in the hospital in Columbus?
Some people know, but I mean, life's 360. So I'm like, okay, I don't even know where she is. And normally I chaperone everything. And I was not there because it was during the day, during the workday. So I looked at her Life 360, which is a location app, and I'm just like, I'm just going to head that way. I just have to. And so I just started heading that way. And about 10, 15 minutes later, then one of the band directors called and just said, hey, things aren't good. And Brynn's on the way to Mount Carmel, and there's a chaperone with her. And I said, okay, I'm coming. All in all, probably a good half hour to 45 minutes before I knew where to go. But, it was hours and hours later until, as a community And with my friends that didn't know where their deceased daughter was and everything else, we had no clue. Where people were, we didn't know. It was ours.
Sure, and that's something that nobody can understand unless they're going through it. I don't care what you hear in the media, but the thoughts that had to be going through your head, I'm sure, very scary, very frightening. And once you got to the hospital and the medical professionals, and I realize this is really a longer span of time than we can get into in a couple of minutes interview, but how did you you and your husband Rob kind of process all that information? And for those that don't know, most of the people listening probably don't, you are a medical professional, you're a registered nurse. How did you take all that in and try and use your nurse brain, combine it with your mom brain, and just try and put it all together when Brynn was getting those initial treatments?
It's crazy because mom brain doesn't work. It just is nurse brain. I'm like, where is she? Is she getting the treatment she needed? And then with Rob, the best thing is he doesn't have the nurse brain. So there goes the mom and dad brain. So he's been the leading force of normalcy around everything. And now that we've been home and kind of see people within the last couple of days, I really think social media has pros and cons, but as far as I know, I'm thankful that my husband Rob just put everything out on social media through his vision as a dad and as normal, and not as the nurse in me.
Talking with Danielle Goedel, she is the mother, along with Father Rob of Brynn Goedel, who we were just talking to on the road to recovery after that tragic Tusky Valley bus accident. And I know when my wife and I were talking with you last night, Danielle, you wanted to, take an opportunity to thank all the people who supported not only Brynn, but all of the families involved that contributed money, that contributed thoughts, that contributed prayers.
Yes. Initially, whenever we were in the hospital and got the first card, I had a piece of paper, and literally I just started writing the first flower, we had no idea. And obviously we cannot thank everybody individually. And it's just, we could not be where we are today. I have been able to be with Brynn through all of this, and with just life, payments and gift cards and food and Bryce and just everybody in general, gas. It's just absolutely amazing, and just keeps going and going and going. And it's something lifelong. Lifelong through medical, but yet mentally, and it's just us as a community. But we're going to be stronger and better because of everybody. Across Tusky Valley and just our Ohio and across the nation. It's just, we cannot thank you enough.
And Danielle, as we wrap up, we asked Brynn a similar question, but as you were bringing her home from Akron Children's, first opportunity for her to get home, for you to get to your own home, and you were passing all of the signs that were out all over the community, not only up in the Bolivar area and Mineral City where you live, but you see all of these signs, pray for Tusky Valley. My wife and I have one in our front yard. I guess to some degree, was that kind of overwhelming to actually, somebody might have said, hey, they've got a few signs up, but actually see it as you're driving by it with your daughter out of the hospital. What was your emotional response to that?
Well, she started counting, and she started counting probably a couple miles out of Akron once we got on the highway. And things that she says is, wow, how do they know about us? Wow, that's for us. I'm so thankful. And then as we got closer, she started counting. She's like, I can't even count anymore. But she still pointed out every single sign. And that's just how it affected us. It's just, we're so grateful.
Our guest this morning on 1480 WHBC, Brynn Goedel, the Tusky Valley High School junior, on the road to recovery and out of the hospital, her mom, Danielle. And thank you so much for your time, for telling your story and sharing your story. And if there's ever anything we can do here at 1480 WHBC or our sister station Mix 94.1 to help you out, to help the other families out, Danielle, don't hesitate to let us know.
Well, thank you so much.